guys, in this video we're just going to go over some statistics review so that you're ready for your quiz. So you're going to be asked a few questions that are similar to what are in these review notes and reminded about things that you need to know how to do. Okay, so here I have a number set, right? We're trying to match it to the correct representation. So which one of these plots actually matches this data? Okay, so right off the bat, 0, 9, I do have a 9, but if I see this 1, I don't have the number 12, 13, 15. So this has extra points that aren't actually listed, so it cannot be this one, right? This one, I have 9, 10, but I should have 2 dots at 10 if this were the right representation, so it's not. This one, okay, so there's 7 numbers here. 14 is the median, which means that this line should be at 14, and it's not. So this is not the correct representation, so this one should be. Okay, so it's saying between 9 and 13, we have 3 values. That's correct. Between 13 and 17, we have 1 value, and between 17 and 21, we have 3 values. So this would be the correct representation that goes with those 7 data points. Okay, reminder about what some different things are. So we can use our calculator to help with these pieces. Remember, X bar is the symbol for our mean. This is our lower quartile. Median. This one is usually on your calculator. Doesn't have it spelled out. It's usually just MED. Upper quartile. Okay. Min is our lowest value. Max is our highest value. And remember, these are 2 different standard deviations. Both of these are standard deviation. But remember, this one is for a sample. This is typically the one we're going to use. This one is population. Okay. Okay. Things that we need to know how to calculate. We need to be able to find the IQR, which remember is just Q3 minus Q1. The range is just the max value minus the minimum value. And the mode is the most often occurring. So we can just look at that and see which one occurs most frequently. Most occurring value. Okay. The other thing we need to know about is we need to be able to determine the shape or skew of a distribution. So if we are given a plot, if it's skewed to the left, remember it's got the long tail left with the peak on the right. Right is the opposite. And if it's symmetric, then it's the peaks in the middle. For a box plot, remember that just means we have the tail here on the left. Opposite here, we got the tail on the right. Okay, and if it's normally distributed, we don't have a tail. It's approximately equal on both sides. Okay, and then if we are just given some data, if the mean is less than the median, then it's skewed left. If the mean is greater than the median, and if they are approximately equal, that's when it's normally distributed. Okay, so we also need to be able to answer some questions if we're given a distribution. So remember, this is kind of broken up into 4 quartiles, right? From here to here is the first quartile. So there's Q1, here's our median, here's Q3, and then here's our max and our min. So there's kind of 4 sections. So this is 25% of the data. This is the other 25%. Another 25%, and the last 25%. So total, 100% of my data is represented. Okay, so what's the highest score on the test? Well, we look at the max, it's at 100. Okay, what percent of the class scored above a 70? So 70 is here, so 25, 25, 25. Together, 75% of the class is above a 70. Okay, what was the median score? So here's the median, it's lined up with 75. Okay, what percent of the class scored between 85 and 100? So that is the last 25%. Okay, A 21st student took the test later and scored a 50%. Determine mathematically if that would be considered an outlier. Okay, so remember outliers. We do Q1 minus 1.5 of the IQR to get the lower fence. And we do Q3 plus 1.5 of the IQR to get the upper fence. Okay, so my IQR, remember, is Q3 minus Q1. So for us, that is 85 minus 70. So our IQR is 15. Okay, so if we do the lower fence, we got Q1, which is 70, minus 1.5 of 15, which is 47.5 when I calculate that. So that's my lower fence. Okay, upper fence is 85, Q3 plus 1.5 of 15. When I calculate that, we get 107.5. So remember, outliers are on either side of these. So either below the lower fence or above the upper fence. So we're asking about 50. Well, 50, that's my lower fence. 50 is not less than that, right? 50 is greater than that. So this is not an outlier. Okay. This one's going to ask us to create some different number sets, okay? So we're going to do a 5-number set where the mean is less than the mode. So I need a number that occurs more than once, right? It's the most frequently occurring, but it's got to be greater than the mean, okay? So this can happen if I do some low numbers. So I'm going to kind of give some spaces. So there's 5 numbers. So 1, 2, 3. So some low numbers with a high number. My average, because I have more low numbers than high numbers, my mean is going to be pretty low. And I want it to just be less than my mode, right? So my mode is 49. And my mean, right, if I add these 5 numbers together, so I do 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 49 plus 49 and divide by 5, then my mean is 20.8. So they just wanted my mean to be less than the mode. That checks out. Okay, now we're going to create a number set, 5 numbers again, where the mean is less than the median. Okay, so same thing. If I were to kind of do that same number set, but throw in another 49, so this would be my median. And now if I find the mean, divide by 5, we get 39.8. So my mean is less than the median. Okay? Okay, so we're going to have 2 different 5-number sets. And we want to have the same mode, but different medians. Okay, so let's just use 1 and 1. Those are my modes for different medians. We just pick a different number for the middle number. And then the rest can be the same, or it doesn't have to be. Something like that. Okay? So we have the same mode. They both have a mode of 1, but the median for this one's 5. Median for this one is 8. Okay, things that we want to be able to do as well are to compare 2 data sets and be able to do the calculations on a calculator. So remember, to compare centers, we're going to look at the mean. To compare spread, we're going to look at standard deviation. And typically for us, it is going to be this one. Remember, mean is x bar. Okay. And then for the shape and skew, we're going to compare the mean and median for each set to decide, is it normally distributed, skewed left, or skewed right? Okay, and the other thing we're going to do is we're going to compare the 2 data sets to each other. Okay, so when we're making these justifications, something we want to make sure we do is we're going to justify our answers, like what we're saying, by using the actual numbers. So we're going to use using the data or the numbers that we're calculating. So we're saying, okay, it's skewed right, here's why. Because I can show you that the mean is greater than the median and give those numbers. Okay. All right, last thing we want to be able to do is, given some data, we want to be able to create some different plots. So we want to be able to create a dot plot, a box plot, and a histogram. Okay. We could also use our calculator to help with this. I'm going to just do this one by hand. This one's nicely in order. Okay. So here, let me see how many numbers we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So 14 numbers in is going to be the halfway, which is right here. So this is my median, so 15.5. Okay, so if I have 14 numbers, then 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is Q1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is Q3, so halfway between that would be 17.5. Okay, so for a dot plot, these are really just going to be helpful for my box and whisker plot, but we are going to add my dot plot in here. Okay, so I go from 12 to 23, so just need to put a spot for you. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. All right. Okay, and I'm just going to go through. So I got 1, 2, 3 12s, 2 13s, 3 14s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 15s, 16s, we got 4, 17, 3, 18, 4, 19, 2, 23, 1. Okay, box plot. So again, we have from 12 to 23, but notice this says be sure to check for outliers. So just by looking at the dot plot, it looks like 23 maybe is an outlier, so let's check. So we're going to do Q3 plus 1.5 of IQR, right? I want to see, is 23 beyond that upper fence? So my Q3 was 17.5 plus 1.5 of the IQR. So if I did 17.5 minus 14, we get 3.5 as the IQR. Okay, calculate that, and I get 22.75. I could also calculate the lower fence too, you guys. For me, just by looking at this data set already that we did, we know 23 is really the only one in question. 23 is above our upper fence, so 23 is an outlier. So on our box plots, remember when we have an outlier, so we're still going to have our number line that goes from 12 to 23, just like up above. But my next highest value was 19. So let me add in my other ones. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, so 19, so 22, 21, 20, 19 is actually where the rest of the data ends and starts at 12, and then 23 is an outlier. Remember, we represent that with just a little star or an asterisk, okay? Okay, so Q1 is at 14, so 13, 14 is Q1. So this is where my box starts. Q3 is at 17.5, so we got 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, so 0.5 would be where the Q3 end of my box is, okay? And then the median is at 15.5, 14, 15.5 would be here, okay? All right, so there is my box plot that represents the same data, okay? Last one is a histogram, being able to create a histogram. So remember, we want the intervals to be the same amount, okay? So I'm gonna do a frequency chart first. So interval, okay? I'm going to say, and then how often it occurs, the frequency. Okay, so the intervals I'm going to use, so we're again going from 12 to 23. So if I do my intervals by twos, so let's do 12 to 14, 15 to 17, 18 to 20, and then 21 to 23. Okay. All right, so then my frequency, so from 12 to 14, we have 8 of those. From 15 to 17, looks like 13. 18 to 20, so these guys, we've got 6, and we only have that 1 in that last range. So this frequency table then helps me set up my histogram. Remember, we want to label our axes, okay? So this would be our interval, and this would be our frequency. Okay, and then again, we're going from 12 to 23, okay? So you can start at 0, or you can just start, I'm just going to make this 12, okay? And then I want to make them about the same. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ranges, so I need 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 15 is where my next bar starts, and then 18, and then 21, and then 24 would be like the last one. Okay, so from 12 to 14, and I need some frequencies here, so let's do maybe, let's see, we have up to 15. Let's do 5, 10, 15, trying to make those evenly spaced. Okay, so 12, we have 8. So 8 would be about here. And I could add some tick marks here too, you guys, to make that really descriptive. You can also write the number 8 in here to let people know that's exactly where it's at. From 15 to 17, again, we're up at 13, so that's going to be here-ish. And I got my bar too wide out here. Helps to use a ruler on these as well. There we go. Okay. And then we've got our next frequency, we have 6. So just above the 5. And our last one, we just had 1. Could draw 1 or right at above. Okay, so there's a histogram. So being able to represent those all different ways will be important, you guys, and that you understand how to do a dot plot, a histogram, and a box and whisker plot. All right, that's all for this review video.